All right. This is game two of the finals here. Thomas is 1-0 down. Is it a bit stressful to lose the first game?
Yeah, uh, you never like to lose the first game because it feels like an uphill battle from there on.
Especially there's no real sideboarding. So sometimes you say like, I lose the first one, but the sideboard is good.
Yeah, you don't have that option with the Highlander format.
Ooh, and we see actually two pretty good hands here.
Yeah, my hand has a good curve. I'm on the play. I have an elf into Aven Mind Sensor, some good removal. My hand is lacking a Haymaker of some sort, but it's a clear keep. Dion, on the other hand, also has a good hand, has Bone Splitter and two good targets for the equip in the form of a 1/1 flyer and an unblockable, unkillable True Name Nemesis, which is, of course, one of the scarier cards from his deck for me.
Yeah, it can be a real nemesis. The problem about the spell slot sprite is he probably won't find a target. He has the mana open on turn 2, so that means he can have access to 4 mana.
Yeah, Spellster Sprite is, of course, very situational by definition, and it will be one important point for him to extract some kind of value out of it, I feel.
Also, not that you can expect to have the count of more than one most of the time. It's not a dedicated fairy stack like you're used to in standard or modern.
Yes, he has some fairies in the form of Muda Wald, I think, and Vendilion Click and something like that, but nothing you can count on.
It's a but usually you're most of the time you're happy to get a spot to play it for one. I think Mental Misstep is sometimes playable, sometimes not in the Highlander format because there's so much going on for 1 mana.
Yeah, it's a playable card for sure.
So stick a 1/1 body to it certainly can harm. So we see you playing the Bloodbraid Elf.
Yeah, it was a good draw. I can max out my mana, and it's good against the potential 2-mana counterspell, which he is representing here. Now, there's a Bird of Paradise, which is, unfortunately for me, a target for his Spellstutter Sprite.
Yeah, funny enough that the 1-drop gets countered now. I think it's actually a bit okay for you because imagine it would be something you couldn't cast, like a Path to Exile. You attack with both, and the sprite just blocks the Mind Sensor. That would be a bit worse for you, I would say.
Yeah,
So
I think so too.
in this regard, it was kind of a good bird, although it got countered. It sacrificed itself.
True. So there's True Name Nemesis, and basically game plan from there on is surely equip the Bone Splitter to the Nemesis and swing for 5 unblockable damage for not many turns. Horizon Canopy doing its fair share of dealing me some extra damage, so the race is on.
Yeah, you can expect to do it at least 1 more damage, so it represents a 3-turn clock. And you have some decisions. You can also higher up on Pain and play the Dark Confident, which, if you don't hit all lands, will give you some trouble.
Yeah, that's a very risky line. I mean, my game plan from here, since I don't have a clear out to Trin and Nemesis by now, is to somehow get on the board in a massive way to threaten counterattacks and therefore make attacking not as attractive for him. But it's very risky to deploy the Bob here because he can play the waiting game since I don't have good attacks either and let the Confident bleed me out.
It's a pretty interesting spot because you have a decision between two lines that are so opposite. You can put under pressure and do more aggressive, or just completely defense by destroying stuff. And usually, when this happens, this decision makes the game totally different.
Yes, it's a crucial turning point. My plan is basically to get rid of the Bone Splitter with my Abrupt Decay and cast Eladamri's Call.
What would be your target for the Eladamri's Call?
Siege Rider would be a good target because it is a good card in the race, which is now 2 commands. There is the possibility of getting Doran, the Siege Tower, because it kind of takes the sting out of True Name Nemesis and Bone Splitter altogether. There's Huntmaster of the Fells, which is good, but here he has Kira the Great Glass Spinner, and suddenly my Abrupt Decay is kind of homing on this one.
Yeah.
But
He,
out because it's uncounterable.
it's
I
basically a
reread.
flag bearer.
Yes, it's Flag Bearer now.
For those of you who don't know, if you ever played Innistrad, no, Invasion Block Limited, there were creatures that have to be targeted if they can. That was not fun.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay. I mean, it has to be aimed on the Kira Great Glass Spinner because that card would prove too problematic for me in the future. So that means, of course, that Bone Splitter gets to live, and I'm down to 10 now.
And you can see a bit of the, like when you think about what cards to pick from the Eladamri's call, of course you can play it and see, let's see what I get. But usually you have to think before. And that's something where you need to get the practice in because you have probably about 50 creatures in your deck, maybe a bit less. And like probably around 40. And for each situation, you have to think of what do I want to take, which card is best.
Yeah. Well, it's about 30 creatures.
Not that many.
No. Of course, you can narrow it down by then. Obviously, mana elves are no targets, so there are realistically about 10 options all the time. And you're right. You get there with experience. Basically, my options here are Siege Rhino, Doran the Siege Tower, as I said, maybe Huntmaster of the Fells.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing that right out kills the True Nemesis as a creature.
Yeah, there would be some options when building the deck, like adding Oz of Pontiff or something like that, or maybe even Doomwake Giant. That would be brutal.
Massacre Worm.
Massacre Worm would be would be very uncastable at this board state, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's usually when I do my Highlanders. It's like not what would be good, but sounds good.
yeah, what is the good fun play?
Yeah, that's why I never win those tournaments.
So there's Siege Runner for me. Just adjusting the life totals a little bit in my favor and presenting a good attacker in the form of a Trampler that cannot be that easily prevented by the True Name Nemesis. So he has to decide if he wants to keep racing or if he wants to stay back on defense. My draw for the turn was Natural Order, which is not bad because I again have the option of getting Doran, the Siege Tower now, or maybe even Primeval Titan to completely dominate the board.
Yeah, here we see Dion drew not only the True Nemesis, but the second bad card, Back to Basics. But this time it's actually not that bad, right?
It's not that bad for me because I don't know if he can really play it this kind of close racing situation. I mean, you could drop it now, but I would have my Swamp untapped and my Fintorn Elf untapped, and that would enable me to play quite some spells. I mean, he doesn't know what I have in hand, so it's a little bit unsafe to deploy it. If I draw an untapped land, I have Maelstrom Pulse for the back to basics. So
Yeah. And you would
it's not
imagine if he plays the Back to Basics and nothing else, you're a bit ahead if you can play anything from your hand.
right. And if he chooses to play back to basics, he cannot attack, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And probably with the board state it is, he wants to keep attacking because his hand doesn't seem to be good in the long run.
True. He has 6 power on the board. I have 12 life, so it's potentially 2 turns from here on. I guess staying aggressive is the better line from that.
And then he has to think like, if I play the Sensei's Divining top, what can I find that makes a difference? Do I just go with Jace? Probably plus, because minus doesn't really infect the board and the two cards don't really matter. It would just die to the Bloodbraid Elf attack and the Sea Trainer would even default my damage. So it's either top or Jace.
Yes, he tries to crack his scouting town for an island, but cannot find one. If he had found one, he could have played Jace and the top this turn.
Yeah, how unlucky.
So he puts Jace on 5 counters and has a -1/-0 ability.
Mind Sensor seems like a notion thief for reasonable people.
Yeah.
There's so many effects that get blanked by Mind Sensor.
Mind Sensor is just an all-star in the Highlander format because nearly everybody plays a set of fetch lands and many tutoring effects. It's for the rather fair deck, which 4-color black is one of the few outs against the unfair strategies like X combo, Storm combo, and those kind of stuff.
Horrible things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually saw you beating the Storm deck, I think, in the semifinals. Is that true?
No, I didn't play against Storm this time around, but 1 year ago, or maybe 1.5, I played with Carsten Kötter with the Storm deck, and I beat him 2 times. Mainly on the back of Aven Mind Sensor and some discard spells. Yeah, that's your game plan against those unfair strategies.
It's a good flexibility of the deck because you can have a decent aggro draw against some fair decks or some control decks, but you can also use the discard and the kind of removal spells, like you have some Maelstrom Pulse effects, the Abrupt Decay, very important to deal with permanents that would be annoying.
Yes, the deck is flexible. It can take on many roles, which I think is important in Highlander.
You see here Liana of the Veil as an threatening planeswalker, but no second black mana.
No second black mana. Also, Spellstutter Sprite would be preventing True Name from being killed by Liliana, but it's a potential powerful card from here projected in the future. It's a very complicated turn here, I think. There's a question of, do I attack Dion directly, going harder in the race, bringing his life down? Do I fear the Jace and his ability to find him extra cards, which could influence the race? And I choose the latter line. I don't know by now even if it was correct. I feel like it's very complicated, very many variables to be thought of.
Yeah, there's always, especially if it's the finals, there's some annoying judges on your back and say like, play faster, play faster. So
yeah.
You have to make eventually a decision, and they're so close together that you probably never know what would be correct. But now you probably have to play the natural order. It's the most impact spell you can do.
Yes. The other spells don't maximize my mana. I mean, I'd have the option of Maelstrom Pulse on Bone Splitter or Spellstutter Sprite, both of which seem kind of not that impactful. I choose the order, and still, Doran the Siege Tower seems like a good target because it reduces his power to 2 only, which makes him lose the race by a large margin. And it forces him to have an out to Doran. From here, he has not shown to be able to cope with any of my permanents, so I think Doran is a rather safe bet.
Right, because if there would be like a card that handles, for example, the Siege Rhino, you would imagine it would have been played in favor of the Jace.
Exactly.
And the Jace was kind of a signal, oh, please don't kill me as fast.
Yes.
So the only thing Dion can really do here is spin the top and see what is cooking. And he really needs to find something that deals with anything in the board. And I think we saw an Into the Royal.
It's a perfect card for him right now. I mean, if this Sensei's Divining Top doesn't provide him with a direct answer, he cannot even block very well because Doran. And he will surely be losing the race in 2 turns. But Into the Royal is, of course, very good. He attacks, and I kind of am forced to block here because if I choose not to block, and he has a bounce spell on my Doran, I would die on the spot, and the Mind Sensor doesn't influence the race so much that it is not like handle, and I cannot take the risk of dying here. So there's the safe block.
And of course, they always have it.
They always have it. Those annoying blue players with their spinning tops and drawn spells.
Yeah.
So I'm down to 1. Basically, Horizon Canopy not producing mana anymore.
when you're in this situation, you see your card that you draw, an offenser, not really helpful most.
No, I
What
have
is
two
your
outs
game
here.
plan now?
I have two outs here, basically. I have to sacrifice my Horizon Canopy by activating it with a Fintorn Elf, and then have white-black open for either drawing Zealous Persecution, or I could draw a black source and deploy Liliana of the Veil, making him sacrifice his True Name Nemesis, and both of those options would basically win me the game. But if I don't draw any one of those, it's basically over for me.
Yeah, it's very important to think about what can I do. I mean, you have like 80 cards left. You can draw 2 cards. That's really not high of a percentage, but it's
No.
at least some. And you have to figure out, okay, for example, for the Zealous Persecution, I need the white mana, so I cannot tap the plateau.
Yeah.
So it's definitely important here to see what gives me the maximum chance of not losing.
Right.
And drumroll.
And yeah, just an elephant. Not good enough here.
Benjamin saying hello.
Hello. It's actually my favorite card in the deck. I love this
It
guy.
can be very devastating against Liliana or something.
Yeah.
I've seen the most impressive game winning by this card. I've seen a player mulligan 2/3 and winning because of Loxodon Smiter, because the opponent played Thoughtseize into
Nice.
the hand. Yeah.
Lockdown's a really good workhorse, but not enough in this situation. And good games to Dion.
Well, yeah. Congratulations, Dion. Also to you, Finals. Very nice result here. But it's nice to see such a deck win, because it says like anything is possible. Probably nobody would have expected that.
Right.
So thank you for watching, and see you next time for the MGM 5.